hard to believe it's been 41 years of service here in Tallahassee that ECHO's been around. The past 3 have seemed like ages, but for 4 decades of work, we've kind of experimented in different ways to serve. Everything as basic as soup kitchen and food pantry and clothing closet. Over the years, we had some affordable housing at some point where we made sure people were stable and transitioning out of homelessness to get to just a more consistent spot. We've gone through size increases. Our staff has been large, it's been small. We've kind of gone through that maturity level over the 41 years that we've been around. But really at our core, it's how do we connect to people and tailor specific resources and programs that are designed to transform them out of something that either has been chronic over the years, generations, or if it's something that they've experienced temporarily, a minor setback or a crisis, that we were able to just equip them with those tools and resources they need to truly find consistent stability as they move forward. That's our ultimate goal. And like I said, we've done it with supplement it with food, we've done it with housing, but really at our core, it's getting in that relational one-on-one to really kind of get to the root of what people have been through, where they are now, and then what steps we can make to put them in a better light. 3 years ago, I'm actually coming to you today. 3 years ago, we moved to a new campus in the Bradford Midtown on 548 East Bradford Road in the Midtown area, really for a couple of reasons. The number one priority was to save some money. We were able to cut our rent a little bit. We found a roommate, another member organization called Good News Outreach. We came under one roof and were able to split a rent bill. So that really helped us to just save a few bucks. But more importantly, we wanted to strategically focus our resources to the working poor in our community. Households that are struggling, that are lower income, but they are in fact employed and they're trying to get ahead, that Alice market, if you will. And so we had some opportunity to find that here in this really central business thoroughfare area that's right between Thomasville Road and Monroe Street here in the Midtown area. So highly commercial that we moved in 3 years ago. 3 months after that move in, the pandemic showed up. And so we were then in the perfect spot, in my opinion, to deliver those services to working people who have all of a sudden were missing that paycheck, missing those hours at work, and were concerned with keeping things, not just health concerns, but financial concerns. And so we were really primed in a position to best serve those households. And so I'm proud of that we've been able to do. 3 years, like everybody's experience, has gone through some chaotic times. Knock on wood, hopefully we're on the heels of what the pandemic has caused. And so we are deliberately focusing on 2023 to be able to better showcase our services in that consistent stability mindset, to where people can come to us and get that one-on-one now that we can be in groups again, and now that we can be with one another, to really identify those things that we can get somebody up to the next rung up the economic ladder. But it starts with that one-on-one relationship, not just adding more food to our food pantry or adding yet another program that maybe takes us in a broad way. We want to be still really nimble and targeted in what we offer. Sure thing. And you made a great point. I mean, we are a faith-based organization that simply defines the why we do what we do every day. We believe that there is something higher and more powerful than just getting by economically or in the day, a common environment that we live in. We think that there is something higher that you can have hope for beyond just meeting the basic needs. But if you truly believe in faith and what that stands for, you do understand the importance of coming alongside people and lending a hand when somebody doesn't have what they need to get by. So it's not an altruistic kind of something way up in the sky. It's something that is truly our hands and feet demonstrate what we feel called to do on a daily basis. What that does really is it opens the door to the faith community, the church community that we work really closely with. The work that they do on a Sunday morning is oftentimes falls flat when church members go home that afternoon and they don't know where to tie that into their Monday through Friday, their social, their work life. And so what we offer is an opportunity for either church members to get plugged in, and that goes with anybody in the community, quite frankly. When you feel called to do something on Monday through Friday, we're not just workers, in this world, in this economy. We are meant to do something. And so ECHO can provide that outlet of how we can be, kind of a vehicle for people to offer their expertise and their resources to those that are under-resourced and that don't have them. But quite frankly, the church is not, they're not isolated from financial hardship as well. We're able to get into a church and not just ask for things like as if there's some charitable donor and that's it. We're able to plug in and say, the person who's sitting next to one another in a church pew on a Sunday, one might own a business and be well off, one might be struggling, and how do you reconcile that? The services we provide hopefully can connect those two rather than just having a shared space to worship together on Sunday, but they actually now are far more relational and intentional in what they can do with one another to lift each other up. Faith doesn't, to me, it's not an exclusive thing. We want to be as wide and open as we can be with, we know that the population we serve is coming from all walks of life, but we also know that this community is so diverse and so, different, but in also ways they share a lot of commonalities. So how do we quickly get to those commonalities to help people understand what other people are going through? So that's our, that's kind of our purpose. That's our why. You'll see where I am right now. In fact, I told you 3 years ago, we came in to save some money on our rent. Well, 6 months ago, we had an opportunity to purchase the campus that we're on. And so ECHO still is going to maintain its services in the main office that we've been in for the past 3 years. I encourage everyone, members, to come out and take a tour. Come by and see us. We're still a pretty small knit family, so you can still come in and meet our staff one-on-one and kind of get to know what we offer. But come and see our space. See if it's something that other members might take advantage of and might be able to utilize as a kind of multi-use and really just imagine what you will. But I'm sitting in the sanctuary that is on our campus. We just signed a lease with a church. Love and Faith Community Church has come in. Their first Sunday was 2 weeks ago. And so they're going to be on our campus for the next couple of years to do the work that I told you about that can happen in a Sunday morning worship service. But then right down the street or right down the hill from our sanctuary is ECHO's work that's being done Monday through Friday. So what a best and ideal way for people to connect the why that they're here on a Sunday with how they can make an impact in the community on the weekdays with the folks that we serve that come through our doors. Another partner that we've invited in recently, Big Bend After Reentry Coalition, will actually be moving in tomorrow. It's one of those things where we want to find partners and want to invite in people who maybe aren't exactly like us. Maybe they do have different viewpoints. Maybe they serve specific populations and different pockets of the community. We want to be an open brainstorming partner. We want to help vision how best we can pull together multiple resources. I think ECHO's had some strengths in that recently. We don't really do everything, but we know potentially where those resources are. So hopefully we can be, the kind of that navigator who helps guide somebody from pitfall to pitfall until they find that stable footing. Example, the best kind of analogy I can say is when we think of what Uber did to the transportation market. Historically, ECHO might have been kind of like a public bus system. We assume that majority of people might have the same point A to point B, maybe a few stops along the way, but if all we do was focus on the point A to point B and this kind of mass distribution of delivery of services, it might not be as effective and people might slip through the cracks, and it's not going to be, the most targeted resource out there. If we have an Uber mindset, then our role as the driver is to understand what one person's need is. It's to get to their point A to point B. It's not a mass point A to point B that already exists and are permanent locations. It's whatever that person's point A to point B is could change from day to day. And so it could be something, I mean, I've ridden an Uber to where you go somewhere on a regular basis. People use it to commute to work. That's a recurring point A to point B, right? You might go to a special event, knowing that you're going to have a good time socially and you want to get home safely. That's not maybe a recurring thing. So we want to be very nimble and tailored, just like an Uber driver, to be able to connect somebody specific point A to point B, and just to be the one who rides along with them in a literal sense to understand where their stop is going to be the most effective for them. What's going to provide the most, I say this word constantly, stability. It's key. If we're not coming from a position of stability, we can't deliver that. We can't offer that. And so the quicker we can get somebody in a stable point, could be income, could be their relationships, the roof over their head, what can we do to dig in? And all those three things I mentioned, we're not necessarily experts at managing your finances, having stronger relationships, finding affordable housing, but we do know who those providers are, and we do know how to walk somebody through it and to dig enough into what's going on in their life to be willing to dig deep, to then hopefully point them in the right place. At times we have money to pay rent bills and utility bills and things like that through either pass-through grants or contracts that we get awarded, but not all the time we don't. We don't always have that to lean on. So we have to be flexible just by nature of how these opportunities come and go. But if at the core, if my team knows every single day they're going to come in and dig deep into somebody's life, that's where they can focus their credentialing, their education, their experience to best deliver that service. And it's not about a food, it's not about rent check, it's not about something that might be fleeting. There will be opportunities for members and partners. I mean, I think that virtually all the members of UPHS, more often than not, we probably have the same clients. More often than not, we probably serve the same families and individuals in different ways. So how do we look at that instead of ECHO's client number or some identification that we assign somebody that might be different from a member agency? How do we look at that instead and flip it around to where the household is that center, that nucleus, and then we're just touch points as that family's getting back to a stable spot? What I like to think is this new campus that we're on has a number of different opportunities for people to either come in and have remote working opportunities, satellite offices. We're in this 120 seat sanctuary space that can be purposed as an event space or a workshop space or a retreat space. And then we have our office, where we have just private offices downstairs of counseling and coaching professionals who are more than willing to open their doors to our partners and find out where exactly, when we're working on a household, how can we look at them and look at it like unselfishly by saying, we want to make sure that our members, it's not like we're taking something from somebody, it's more of we're adding to that pot. And so again, I mean, more than anything, I say, come see us, come take a tour of the campus, come meet one-on-one. My staff is readily available to set aside time to help share and kind of do some, spread the word on what we're up to these days. Because like I said, those, it might be food one day, it might be rent one day, but those things might come and go. But the better understanding that we have of what's a common thing that we might offer every day, that's best done maybe in a staff to staff, peer to peer kind of concept. So our doors are open. I'll make sure that you get the word out for how to reach us on the website and how to get in touch with us. But I encourage people, get your feet on our campus and see what the potential is. And we would love to then just let that be the launch pad for how we can build these stronger relationships with our fellow providers. We're still getting settled here on the new campus. The church is getting their ducks in a row. Big Bend, like I said, Big Bend After Reentry Coalition will be starting tomorrow, and they'll get their messaging out on where they are now and what they'll be up to. So right now we're just working together this month, coming off the heels, again, just kind of putting some thought into 2023. So let's say hold tight. but be on the lookout for an open house invite. We'll get the word out in December. We don't have a date yet, but we'd love to do something to just celebrate this space and celebrate the potential that we have together to use this to really strengthen and lift up the lower end of our community. Just from whatever reason they're at the lower end, let's dig into those resources and help lift them up collectively. So I can only tell you, stay tuned for December and we'll get something on the calendar. But we're certainly open today and the rest of the month for one-on-one tours. Come out and see us. Justin, we're so thankful for UPHS and Amber and your all's team for the advocacy you do, the cheerleading you do, the things you do to help us do our jobs better. So thanks for doing such a tremendous job of coalitioning what we all have together and to just make us all stronger, that then just makes the community stronger. So thanks all. Hats off to you all.